Coeur d'Alene, Idaho Real Estate Market Report. Prices, sales, and predictions. What you need to know coming into April 2023. My name is Brian Johnson. I'm a real estate broker with Windermere Valley, Liberty Lake. Let's go ahead and jump right into the numbers. I'm going to talk a little bit about Coeur d'Alene and then also Kootenai County, Idaho real estate. Now, you have to know something about real estate statistics, and that is when you watch other realtors' market reports, we might have a little bit different numbers. And it all depends on where we pull our numbers from and how those sources are looking at the numbers. Oftentimes, someone will do a market report and it will show all properties, including land and all acreages. And someone else can do a market report pulling from a good source, but they don't know that source is 2 acres and less and it's not including land. So when I talk about those numbers in here, I'll try and break that down like that also. So you kind of know the accuracy of what we're talking about. So you can see right here, the median list price on the house in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho is $584,000. And you can see here, the median list price on a home in Kootenai County in general is $599,000. Now, this is the median list price. This is not the sold price. The sold price is going to be less. So one thing I wanted to show you guys right here is look at this graph. This graph is the median listing home price right now in Coeur d'Alene. And you can see what's happened. We had this big spike up here, and this was the peak of the market, which would have been back in March, April, and May of last year. And then we've had a slight drop down right here into where we're at now. So we've seen sort of a decrease from last year. We sort of erased a lot of the gains we made in 2022. Now, this graph is pretty important. You can see we're still in a buyer's market in Coeur d'Alene. Also in Kootenai County, let's check that out. So Kootenai County, you can also see right here, we're still also very much in a buyer's market. And here's that median list price for the county in general. You can see it's generally the same. Big uptick, big peak right here back in April and May of last year. And then we've had a nice steady decrease down in pricing right along this graph. Now this information right here is from the Coeur d'Alene Board of Realtors Association. And you can see right here, the median home price is down 1.7% from last month to $511,000. But these numbers are 2 acres and less in Kootenai County. So it's eliminating all the large acreage properties, which tend to pull up that median price. So taking those larger acreage properties out, trying to get it back down to just sort of what's a house selling for, if you want to generally speak of housing, the bulk of the market, which, you know, single family houses not on huge acreage, to try and get a gauge of where the market's going on an average. You can see right here that average or median is starting to trend down. But that's probably temporarily. What we're seeing is interest rates peaked in October. We had big interest rates hit hard back in October, and a lot of buyers fell out of the market. Interest rates have been fluctuating up and down ever since then. In fact, the last week and a half ago, I think we were hitting at 7.5%. And then this last week, I saw some rates at 6.5%. So we're seeing a lot of, you could call it porpoising, of just going up and down on those interest rates. So they're between that high 5s and low 7s. And now buyers are starting to get used to those rates. They're seeing that this is a new normal. And then I think, and what a lot of us think, is people are going to start rushing back into the market when those interest rates start to fall. When you look at what's going on in the overall market right now, interest rates certainly are going up when you look at the Fed rate and all of that. But all the indicators of all the experts out there on both sides of the equation, from your most stable guys that are not conspiracy minded to the other side of the financial equation of the guys, call it the wreck-it bros that just want everything to crash. Pretty much everyone's in a consensus that this time of high interest rates cannot last forever. The Fed might be raising rates a little bit again coming here into the spring, even though we've had these big bank collapses. So watch those rates. We'll see what happens. Looks like things are breaking. But eventually they're going to be dropping those rates down again. And then mortgage rates will probably be following them down. And a lot of buyers are going to be rushing back into the market because we have so much demand for for homes in this area. And we don't have as much construction as we need. Both in Coeur d'Alene and Spokane County, it's the same, metropolitan statistical area. So when people are moving into this area, they're kind of looking around in both. Now, I know a lot of people moving here into Idaho specifically are looking for Idaho, but I have Idaho, my customers also in Spokane. I have a lot of people that are looking in both markets. Now, looking here at homes sold year to date, it's 258. We're 28% down from last month. So we're seeing a little bit of a decrease in closed houses. But remember, December also is a time when real estate slows down a little bit. So you have a lot less activity in the market. but those closings will start showing up in January and February, which then reflects in the numbers we're looking at right now. And we have 601 current active residential listings as of 3/3. And again, this is on 2 acres or less of properties. Now, it says right here 107 days on market. Now, in Kootenai County, they measure it as days on market is from when you list it until it sells and closes. So really, you need to take about 45 days, maybe a little less than that on average off of this number to see what's a true day on market. And the day on market's better defined as how long it takes from when you list it until you go under contract. That's how long you were marketing the property trying to find buyers. So I just wanted to mention when I was talking about that days on market is that when you take out those the pending and contingents, the days on market in Coeur d'Alene is actually around between 50 and 60 days on market. By the way, I have a really nice buyer and seller guide if you're thinking of buying a house or selling a house and you don't want to talk to an agent, but you just sort of want to understand the process. I have the links are in the description below. You can download them from me. I'm not going to collect your email address. They're just a free download. You can just go ahead and grab those. Now, Windermere, one of the nice things that I have access to is we have our own economist, and he works just for Windermere. He has a YouTube channel. If you want to look up Matthew Gardner, you'll find him doing his information on economics, and it's really, really valuable. He was in town the other day, and I was at his presentation. I'm going to show you a couple of his slides right here. And it's just showing maybe what's coming up in the market if you want to look at stats and stuff from someone that's a little more authoritative than just necessarily a realtor like myself. Now, this graph right here shows the job losses and recoveries by sector. So this is going to be in Kootenai County right here. And you can see during the last few years of crisis, leisure and hospitality lost 3,400 jobs, but they've recovered with 5,200 jobs. Lost in education and healthcare, they lost 1,200 jobs, gained 1,700 jobs. So basically just looking at the graph here on the right side is the jobs recovered compared to the jobs that were lost. So jobs recovered are huge coming back in Kootenai County right now. Now, the unemployment rate, you can see right here, peaked back in April of 20, and it's just been going down ever since, down to 3.1%. Now, this right here, the Coeur d'Alene Metropolitan Statistical Area Employment Forecast, you can see right here, jobs added was just nothing back in 2020, but and then we recovered significantly in 21 by adding these jobs, going down a little bit because this is a huge peak, and now we're at this point here of 1,063 additional jobs added. Now, this is an interesting graph right here, looking at mortgage rates over time, all the way back to 1975 is on the far left. And here we are right now on the right. You can see what's happened to mortgage interest rates over time. When people talk about, so there's never an average mortgage rate because you can see they're always peaking up and down. But the trend line that when people say where we're headed to is somewhere around the 6% average. I know 7% is a better one, but that's including these massive peaks that we had here. So if you're looking at where do you think interest rates are going, here we are on the right, and people are really expecting these rates to be dropping down here into the 6 or 5.5% range over a longer period of time coming up. So you can see this is the rise in interest rates over the last year and a half, actually just since January 21. And you can see this massive, massive increase in interest rates right here, big peak, drop down. February 23, 6.65. I know in the last couple of weeks, you can see this went down a little bit, went back up. Now we're back down to just a little bit below what this shows right here. That's this week. Now, this is his prediction for mortgage rates, 5.89% going into more of a long term. And he's comparing it to the other forecasts. Freddie Mac says 6.4 is going to be rates. Fannie Mae says it's going to be 5.9. Wells Fargo, 5.86. Don't trust Wells Fargo. They're like the Comcast of banks. National Association of Realtors are predicting 5.7, and the Mortgage Bankers Association is certainly pretty optimistic and hoping for a 5.3. Now, looking at listing activity here in Kootenai County, you can see 2023 just starting out 404 listings, and there's been a time back in 2013 that listings were up there in the almost 1,300 range, and that's how much it's gone down significantly in the number of houses, number of listings. This is important. When you talk about housing crashing, it doesn't necessarily mean housing prices crash. You can have a housing crash without the prices crashing. And that housing crash can happen when you have way less activity in the market. You have less buyers, less sellers. So that's people putting their houses onto the market, and there's a reason for that. I'll get to that in a second. And then you can see sort of a depression in just the number of realtors in the business, and those sort of things are going down. Construction costs may go down if there's sort of deflationary cycle coming up. But if you don't have a lot of houses on the market to sell with fewer listings, that provides so much pressure on pricing that you can be in a housing crash without being in a housing price crash. And you can see right here, Kootenai County, this is sort of the average sale price versus the median sale. They kind of track each other. It's just medians and averages are figured differently. Figure a median is a little bit more accurate. And you can see this yellow here is where we've come down in the pricing versus this big up jump that we had over here over the last couple years during the pandemic. And then you can see right here has happened to pricing. If you think pricing's crashing down on my mouse where I'm going down into here, that's not going to happen. Prices are absolutely leveling off right here. Now, this is fascinating. Equity-rich homeowner. 68.2% of Kootenai County homeowners are equity-rich. Equity-rich means you have at least 50% equity in your home. The vast majority, 68% of Kootenai County homeowners have a ton of equity in their house. Ton of equity that they can access with a home equity loan if things get tough with inflation, and they don't necessarily need to sell their house. Now you can see right here, this is a graph comparing the months of inventory. The pink is a seller's market, the middle is a balanced market, and the buyer's market's in the blue. We haven't seen a buyer's market almost since 2016 right here. And then you can see right here, we're significantly back into a seller's market from our peak just last year. It did hit this buyer market right here. And I'm going to say that I'll bet you right here, there's not a month listed here, but this is going to be when interest rates are shooting up. It took a peak. We had more inventory. Buyers bounced out of the market. And so a lot of sales would have fallen apart or not happened. So yeah, that was sort of a sharp increase in inventory. And then buyers start getting used to the new interest rates and they start coming back into the market because people need housing no matter what. And that's driving the inventory back down because those buyers are gobbling up those properties, but there's not a new glut or a huge amount of sellers offering their properties for sale. Plus, we're at the slowest time of the year historically, which is the winter time. Now, this is the sort of average days on market according to him. And he's pulling this from the Coeur d'Alene MLS, and he's putting the market time at 73 days on the market compared to basically almost a year ago of 57. So you remember those days on market is, he's predicting, I think he's calling here days on market is the marketing time. So from when it goes on the market till it goes under contract. But you can see a sharp increase right here in the days on market coming through fall into now, but now we're seeing it drop. So it's going to be interesting next month to see if this days on market keeps dropping or if it goes back up. Now this is foreclosure activity, and it's just not huge right here, you guys. Q4 2022, so going into the end of the year, basically there were 25 foreclosure filings in Kootenai County. So that's actually more than all of Spokane County. Spokane County had less than 12. So you're seeing a few more of those foreclosure activity, but it's not a large amount at all. Foreclosures always happen in any market. Sometimes it's a planned foreclosure, actually. Sometimes it's strategic sometimes. Not always is it what you think it is. So there's always foreclosures, but you can see back here in Q1 2020 where it was closer to about 35. So we're not even close to any sort of a foreclosure crisis. Now his single family home price forecast is predicting this year of a drop through 2023, which you've already experienced a little bit of it, is potentially a 9.3% drop. But this is interesting what he says right here. Home prices in 2023 will give back some of the gains seen, with prices up by over 70% between 2020 and 2022. The pullback is pretty minimal to pull back 9% when you just went up 70%. But you'll feel it. That 9% will make news because a lot of people are kind of hoping the market crashes. I think a lot of people are upset and they want sort of revenge against the market. I certainly feel that way with a lot of people's attitudes, that they really, really want those prices to come down. It just isn't looking like we're going to see a massive price drop this year. And especially if interest rates go down also, people are going to be pouring money into hard assets with the banking crisis and then interest rates going down, buyers flooding back in the market to buy a house before prices go back up again or rates potentially go back up again. That's sort of the way buyers think. Kootenai County currently has 49,000 households. And they're going to be adding 5,500 households over the next 5 years. 5,500 households need houses. And so that's how much construction is going on to capture that. I know, Post Falls, you've got a lot of construction permits and new construction going on. but there really is a limit to the amount of new construction going on right now, and it's not keeping up pace for the number of people moving into the area and household formations happening. Now, this is the single family permit activity and demand. Just to quickly show you right here, right now there's a surplus of permits in Post Falls compared to the demand a little bit. There's so much new construction there. But in Hayden and Coeur d'Alene, there's just an absolute shortfall of the number of permits that we think we're going to need coming into the next few years. Now, this is single family new homes. And the average sale price of a single family new home in Kootenai County right now is $743,000. And the single family new home average price per square foot is $313 per square foot. I also have a great video on the cost of living in Coeur d'Alene. It's going to be right here. If you want to see what it costs to live in Coeur d'Alene in this area, go ahead and click on that link, and I think you'll like that video. I hope that helps you guys understand the numbers. If you have any questions about real estate, feel free to reach out to me anytime. My contact information is below. My YouTube clients are my favorite clients because we just get along so well. So don't be shy about reaching out with any questions you might possibly have about the market, about real estate, or anything like that in general. I love talking to you guys, and it's really, really fun.